How do you balance matching and mirroring behavior with communicating problems?
Yeah, I've had several phone sessions recently where that's kind of an issue. So you got communication problems. There might be an attachment style issue. You got because some people. I mean, we all tend to learn our skills from our families, the people that we model what we see growing up. And so somebody that stonewalls you goes, I don't want to talk about it, and they just won't talk about it, and they'll hang up on you when you try to figure out what's going on. It's like you can't work anything out if you can't talk openly and honestly about things. And so when you have those kinds of situations where you're trying to communicate with where you're having friction and you get stonewalled, or she's got to stew about it for 2 or 3 days and then calls you up when she's feels a little better, and now you just got 3 days where you don't know what's going on or whether you're coming or going in your relationship. That's not fun. It's not fun to be in a relationship with somebody like that. What was the question again?
How do you balance matching and mirroring behavior with communicating problems?
So if you've got your girl is just disappearing on you like that or refusing to communicate, or she hung up on you when you try to figure out what was going on, and 3 days later she reaches back out, that's part of when you're in the vetting process, decide, is this kind of, do I want to deal with this? So you're going to have a talk with her. You say, hey, if you're mad, we got to talk it out. Giving me the silent treatment for 3 days and refusing to speak to me, that's abusive. That's rude. We can't resolve anything unless we could talk openly and honestly. And when you just refuse to, I'm going to punish you for 3 days, that's passive aggressive. It's not healthy. That doesn't work for me. I want to work things out. I want to understand where you're coming from. But when you refuse, it's like it only works if we both make the effort, and you're not making the effort, and it's abusive when you do that. It needs to stop. And if she loves you and she respects you, she'll apologize and she'll knock it off. But there are women that won't. They'll continue on with abusive behavior or being dishonest, or if the girl's giving out her number to guys that she meets and not even telling them that she's in a relationship because she likes the attention and she just doesn't think anything's wrong with it, or just refuses to respect the relationship. And then she starts hanging out with those guys and going to lunch. You can't fix that. And because you're thinking exclusivity, and you gotta, there are women out there that'll invite that kind of attention, and so you gotta be strong enough to say it's not good for me, or smart enough to recognize, hey, it's just a friends with benefits. Better wear a raincoat while you continue to look for what you really want.
Also, I think matching and mirroring behavior is kind of not only kind of toxic, but kind of a little immature, because it's like you're kind of steering away from the elephant in the room. And if you keep matching and mirroring that person's behavior, you're not getting anywhere.
Yeah,
like someone has to take action.
Hold on a second. I don't think you're understanding the context, the matching and mirroring. So what that means is they're refusing to participate, and it's kind of back to the tennis analogy. So if they're ignoring you and stonewalling you, and you continue to call and continue to reach out, typically you get ignored more. Which is abusive, and all it's going to do is turn the other person off. And so if they're not willing to participate, then you can give them the gift of missing you. Because to continue to stay engaged and try to keep somebody that doesn't even want to keep you, it's abusive to yourself. It's if you love yourself, you're just not going to do that. You're not going to just stick around when somebody's being abusive, or call people and ask how they're doing when they've had a rough day and they just blow you off and don't even give a shit. You know what I mean? So you want to see that the other person makes the effort. So if they don't make an effort, then you absolutely match and mirror their lack of effort. Don't try to keep somebody that doesn't want to keep you.
So you're basically like mirroring their
their lack of effort. They're showing
you're putting into the relationship what you are receiving, nothing more.
That's what I'm saying.
Less.
It's like lack of effort in that regard.
So if there's lack of effort, you're putting in the same amount of lack thereof.
That's what I'm saying. And also, if there's no communication, it's like someone has to take action there.
When you do that,
that makes sense.
But then you're putting in more effort, is what I'm trying to say. Like, you're going to put in as much effort as you're receiving.
Yeah,
Does
if a
that make
guy is
sense?
dating
Yeah.
a girl, and because there are women like this, and say she's a bartender or whatever, and
that's a little
she
different.
still gives out her number to dudes that, I mean, let's face it, she
She
knows
can be giving out her ex-boyfriend's number who she despises.
well,
That's
she's giving
stupid.
out her actual number and then befriending some of these guys, and it's obvious through the text and
But what if
things.
she's doing
Let
that
me
for
finish.
good fat tip?
No, it's like
You don't know.
let me finish. So these guys are sliding, they're texting her, sliding into her DMs as well on social media, hinting that they want to date. Meanwhile, she's in a relationship. And so if a guy's in a relationship with a woman like that and you've set the boundaries and the behavior continues, then you look at and go, she's obviously keeping her options open. So I'm not going to stay committed to that. I'm going to look at her and go, she's a friends with benefits. Because if she wants to continually invite attention from other men, and I'm a guy, it's maybe the dude's looking to get married or whatever, or he just wants a live-in girlfriend, somebody's going to be loyal to him, he's not going to stay engaged. She's going to match and mirror the efforts as well. And so she's acting like she's promiscuous and single and available. And so he gets to act the same way. And you be honest and you match and mirror her behavior. Hey, you're meeting these dudes out for lunches, for drinks and eating. Oh, they're just friends, but these guys want to date you. That's pretty obvious. And it's like, if you want to be exclusive with me or you want to be my living girlfriend or continue to do that, you're not going to do that behavior. And if you are, then no problem. We'll go to an open relationship. We'll go to friends with benefits, and you can date and sleep with whoever you want. And I'm gonna look for what I want. When I find it, it's like, hey, we'll part ways on good terms, and I wish you all the best. But I'm not gonna be exclusive with somebody that behaves that way.
But what if there's matching and mirroring in like the scenario of a relationship? Like you're actually in an exclusive relationship with that person. I think that's like an even bigger problem.
Well, the other thing is if you're because familiarity breeds contempt, and if you're married or you're living together, you're around each other all the time. And what often happens with a lot of couples is that over time, the longer they're together, friends and hobbies and interests and things just kind of fade away. And then you kind of become stuck in your little family bubble there. And we all need time and space away from each other to do our own thing. We met and we had these great lives, and then we came together to share our completeness. But what happens is a lot of people, especially guys, give up their hobbies, their interests, the friends that the wife or girlfriend doesn't like, and then next thing you know, 4 or 5 years later, they haven't even talked to those guys, and so those friendships wither and die. And then he's only hanging out with like her friends or people that she doesn't get upset about or whatever because he's trying to please her. And the car he was fixing up, the hot rod he was working on that he'd been doing for 10 years, he sold it because she complained that he spent too much time doing that. So he thought, well, if I sell the car, then she won't be so mad at me working on my car in the garage. And then what happens is eventually then he finds out she's sleeping with a guy at work, and she's like, and then she serves him with divorce papers, and she's like, you changed. And the guy bends himself into a pretzel to please her. And so that's a common experience of a lot of dudes that get into a long-term relationship. They lose themselves. It's the same thing with a woman. He's jealous and insecure, and he doesn't like her friends or her certain family members, and the longer you're together, you end up at some point you're walking on eggshells because you're worried that you're going to upset the other person and they're going to be mad, and it's going to create problems. So what happens to a lot of people? It's like pleaser behavior, and it stems from just not standing up for yourself, not setting and enforcing healthy boundaries.
Yeah.